Hey everybody, Derek here. We're going to take a look at the news, weekly news recap that we're doing on Sundays, 12 p.m. If you're watching this on the VOD and you want to, I don't know, maybe you want to be up this early. It's early for me, whatever. Anyway, we're going to be looking at the news for the 7th to the 13th of February 2022. So, I'll just get straight in. Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct this week on Wednesday. So I did a video for this. It's over on Twitch currently, still a VOD. It's also over on YouTube if you want to check that out as well. So I'm not going to go through all of these trailers just because there's a separate video for all of these. So I'm just going to call some of them out. Fire Emblem Warriors, which kind of somewhat annoyed and also pleased a bunch of people online, mostly because it looked like it was going to be a new Fire Emblem game, and then wouldn't you know it, it turned into a Dynasty Warriors game, which I think pissed off a few people, but still, I thought it was pretty funny. That'll be out on Switch, 24th of June. And they had another look at the Advanced Wars reboot remakes. No Man's Sky coming to Nintendo Switch, probably a cloud game, I would think. Fairly long look at a new Mario Strikers game, Battle League Football. Which seems like, again, it'll be Mario characters. You know, anyone you would normally see in Mario Party or Mario Kart, you'll probably see in Mario Strikers. But now it is football. That's proper football, not American football. Anyway, a look at the Splatoon 3 co-op thing, which is called Salmon Run Next Wave, which is basically a bunch of Octolings and Inklings versus horrible salmon monstrosities. Front Mission remake, it's called Front Mission First, and then also announced, but not given a release date, is that they were also remaking the sequel, Front Mission Second, presumably. I don't think that's what it's called, but okay. Kind of out of nowhere, we have Disney Kart, basically. It's Disney and Pixar characters, but Mario Kart, so a kart racer. The natural devolution of LucasArts games. Anyway, Star Wars Force Unleashed is coming to Switch for whatever reason, don't know why, but there you go. A weird chibi Gundam thing. Chrono Cross remake has finally been announced. It's kind of been rumored for a good while, and yeah, we have a trailer for it now. It's going to be out on the 7th of April. And then Kirby showed us his final form, which is Carby, where he basically there are objects in the new Kirby and the Forgotten Land where Kirby can't completely swallow them, so it turns into mouthful mode, and somebody allowed that to get through fucking PR, allow it to be called mouthful mode, but there you go. Basically Kirby just sort of assumes the shape of the object rather than taking over it entirely, kind of thing. But anyway, Carby, and then there were other things where he took over a vending machine that was too big for him, and so on. So it's that kind of thing. Sports, nobody cares. Klonoa remake 1 and 2 coming the 8th of July. Portal 1 and 2 also coming to Switch at some point, no actual date given. Live Alive, just randomly thrown out, we're doing a remake of Live Alive, which is a big JRPG in Japan that never came out outside of Japan, but it's coming out now, 22nd of July. That'll be very interesting because there were a lot of things that were later added to really popular JRPG games, but they were first seen in Live Alive, so that will be fun to check out. Have Wii Sports, but not Wii Sports, it's Switch Sports this time. 29th of April, the same kind of thing you would have seen in Wii Sports, tennis and bowling and such and such. I think the new one this year, or for this game, is volleyball. I don't think that was on the Wii, anyway. Taiko no Tetsujin, rhythm game. Again, typically not seen outside of Japan, but I guess it's going to make its way out now. It is like very Japanese focused, but from what I saw of the gameplay, it looked like a lot of fun. And Nintendo are going to kind of try to get you in there by having Nintendo music in the Rhythm Festival thing. So that's, yeah, they might get me in on that. Oh well. Triangle Strategy, again, reminding you that it's coming out soon, and there's a new demo that is way too hard. I just don't know if I even want to play the game now, because it looks really nice, and I do have fun playing it, but my god, the fights are so hard. Another reminder that Cuphead is getting DLC, it'll be out on 30th of June. Metroid Dread is getting free updates, which are difficulty updates, so there's getting a Dread mode, which is a one-hit kill mode, only for Samus though, not for the enemies, just for Samus. It's a one-hit kill mode, so it's a hell or hell mode, which is what Devil May Cry would have called it, which is one-hit kills on Dante but nobody else. And then there's Heaven and Hell mode in Devil May Cry, which is one-hit kills on everybody. And then again, on the more surprising remakes and remasters, Earthbound Beginnings will be on Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Whether that's part of the expansion pass or not, we don't know. I don't think so. It shouldn't be because they're not N64 games, but who knows. Instead of getting Mario Kart 9, you're getting Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass, which is a bunch of courses from previous Mario Kart titles. So there's like 40 different tracks that will be coming out in waves of 10, I think. And then the big announcement, the big ender, oh wait, there's more, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which has been rumored for a good while, and we were kind of wondering when Monolith Soft would actually come out of hiding and be like, yeah, here it is, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and it's a Xenoblade, out of the trailer anyway. It definitely seems like it's going more for Xenoblade Chronicles 1 vibe rather than 2, which... like, I like 2, but I really don't like the gacha stuff from 2. So yeah, I guess closer to 1. Well, again, we'll see. It's only one trailer. We don't know a whole lot about it yet. Noticeably absent, Breath of the Wild 2. Didn't see anything about it. That's still allegedly coming out this year. We still don't really know a whole lot about the game. I imagine they're probably waiting for a little bit closer to the release date, and they'll probably do a direct just on Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever it ends up being called. And as Eurogamer points out, still nothing about F-Zero. But I think you guys need to let that go. It's not going to happen. Anyway, that was the Nintendo Direct for February of 2022. Again, if you want to see full reaction to the trailers or just watch the trailers themselves, well, I mean, if you don't want to see my reaction, just watch Nintendo's VOD of it, I guess. But my video for it is also on YouTube and Twitch. It's still on Twitch for now. Like, I'm not a partner or anything, so it'll be gone eventually, but it should stay on. It should stay on YouTube for quite a while. Okay. So new releases this week. First up is Sifu. Sifu is a roguelite kung fu game by Slow Clap, who are best known for Absolver, which was an MMO martial arts game that I think did well for people who stuck with it, but I think that for the more casual player, it was a little too intricate and a little too difficult. And they haven't really stopped that with Sifu because it's still quite difficult. I played a little bit of it yesterday, which would have been Saturday the 12th of February. So if you want to check that out again, the VODs are still there on Twitch and should still be there on YouTube. Or rather, they're technically, the VOD isn't on YouTube yet, but like give it like an hour and it should be up there. Anyway, it's really fun, but it's really hard. Also, there's a lot of different ways to defend yourself, and I'm not good at any of them. So it's a little tricky. Anyway, that's Sifu. Then again, announced during the Nintendo Switch, and for whatever reason Eurogamer didn't give a shit about it, but here we go. GetsuFumaDen Undying Moon, which is a remake of GetsuFumaDen, the original, which is a kind of roguelike Castlevania kind of thing, but with this really gorgeous ukiyo-e art style. Like, look at that. Like, that's really nice. Now, obviously, the bitrate is going to go to shit. trying to render this because there's so many moving tiny pieces of art, but I don't know, it'll look good on your TV when you're playing it. Mightn't look so good when you're watching it online, but I'll be looking to play this on Wednesday. I was thinking it was either going to be this or a game called I Am Dead, but I'm thinking now it's going to be this. I'm going to play this instead. So if you're not sure, or it looks good but you want to know more about it, then tune in on Twitch on Wednesday. And then last, but certainly not least, according to Steam, because the Steam concurrent users for Lost Ark is ridiculous at the moment. Lost Ark is a action RPG / MMO. So think of it as Diablo, but it's an MMO. Basically, that's the way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that it's made by Amazon, and I don't want to give them any money. So that's another way to look at it. But from what I'm seeing, it looks really good. It looks really good, but unfortunately, it's Amazon. I don't. My ethics, my morals. What do I do? Do I play it and just? Well, it is free. It is a free-to-play game, so it's a bit Path of Exile in that way. How much or at what point do you need to start spending money to get anything more out of it? We don't know. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV is also free up to level 60, and I play that, but also I really love Final Fantasy, so there's no moral quandary there. I really don't like Amazon, so. And I'm on Twitch, so whatever. I'm probably going to get banned now after saying that, but there we go. Anyway, that's Lost Ark, also on PC. It's free to play now, but when it launched, I think it was like a soft early access launch or something. Earlier this week, I think it was only for paid subscribers, but now it is open free, although they are having server issues because it's brand new, getting only online game. Of course, it's having server issues. Okay, so some updates this week. Again, this is not necessarily long rumors. This is more people have been clamoring for it for a very long time, which is The Wolf Among Us 2 from the resurrected Telltale. So Telltale kind of went out of business about 2 years ago, and then they were bought by somebody. Don't remember the name of the company who bought them, but they're back now, and now they're making Wolf Among Us 2 and also The Expanse, which was shown during a State of Play, I think it was. A State of Play. It might have been a Nintendo Direct, but I don't remember. Anyway, Wolf Among Us 2. I never finished the original Wolf Among Us because the Telltale engine keeps fucking crashing for me, so don't know what happens. But apparently Big B survives, so we got that going for us. This looks really good. Like, really well. Like, cinematographer read? I don't know. Like, that's a great shot. The shot of him opening the door, also a great shot. It looks really nice. And this scene here is Big B recounting his tale to a self-help group kind of thing for anger management, I think, and also him trying to deal with what looks to be the Wizard of Oz characters. So, Scarecrow, the Tin Man, Dorothy, I guess is the woman on the couch. No sign of Cowardly Lion anywhere, although maybe he's cowering from Big B. It's possible. But yeah, more Wolf Among Us, absolutely. I'm just hoping it's not an episodic thing. Just drop the whole thing at one go. But I guess we'll see. Does Telltale do that? Not really. Although it's new Telltale, who knows? Also, Atomic Heart decided to come out of the shadows and remind everybody that it exists. If you don't remember, this is a think BioShock, but more technological, and then think Wolfenstein, with the kind of versus a fascist regime sort of thing, and then also it's a bit Fallout and it's a bit Outer Worlds, not Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is something different, but then also communism. Just throw that in there. So it's a bit like Eastern Europe, BioShock, Fallout thing, but robots instead of nuclear technology. Okay, we all good? That's what Outer Worlds I was about to say. That's what Atomic Heart is, because it does remind me of Outer Worlds a lot. Looks really good. Looks really, really good. The only thing that is worrying me is the voice acting. The voice acting doesn't sound great, but I'm also thinking maybe they haven't finalized it yet. And I'm also thinking that I believe the developer is from, I think they're Polish, so it's possible that the main voice acting is actually in Polish rather than English, and the English is dubbed over. I mean, the English is definitely dubbed over in the trailer, so they may just be temporary. Who knows? And then this was Salt and Sacrifice also getting a release date. Oh, and I should point out, Atomic Heart has a release date now as well. It's this year in a month ending in Burr. So September, October, November, December, one of those. I'm gonna guess October is my guess. Anyway, Salt and Sacrifice, which is a sequel to Salt and Sanctuary. This was announced as part of a Sony, here's 7 indies doing things on PlayStation. This is the only one that looked interesting to me, to be honest. Well, there was Moss 2, which is a VR game, but I never played the original. Anyway, this trailer was just highlighting the PvP stuff. If you're not familiar, Salt and Sanctuary is kind of derivatively described as a 2D Dark Souls. It's the same kind of idea, really. A grim world with punishing combat, and then the PvP, honestly, also reminds me of Dark Souls PvP, so that's probably not great for it either. But there you go. That is also getting a release date. It will be May of this year. I think it's the 12th, but I forget. I have to skip to the end. The 10th of May. Okay. 10th of May 2022. Salt and Sacrifice. Sure hope my mic is working. It is. Okay, good. I just wanted to check in OBS because I wasn't sure. Anyway. Salty Sacrifice, May 2022. Okay, it is now time to talk about the worst part of the video games industry. No. Shit. It is now time to talk about the worst part of video games. The video game industry. Okay. So we're going to start with a kind of follow-up story from last week. We talked about Team 17's NFT shitstorm, basically, where they said, hey, we're doing NFTs, and people said, no, you're not, and they said, okay, no, we're not. Pretty much. This is a fairly lengthy report from Eurogamer, from Tom Phillips at Eurogamer, and they had talked to a bunch of developers and employees at Team 17 to see how, like, first of all, what was the reaction to the announcement? Did you know about it? You know, how did you feel about the backlash and so on? But then it eventually turned into a report on just how shit it seems to be to work at Team 17. So start off by just saying, just recapping the whole Worms NFT thing. That employees at the company remain stunned that they were never told about it. It was just they heard about it at the same time everybody else did, which is probably, it's not a good idea. Anyway, and that they say that the incident reflects a company out of touch with its staff. They felt let down by how Team 17 handled the announcement. The company's refusal to listen to staff concerns has added additional pressure to a workforce already worn thin. They were aghast at the public drubbing and became increasingly upset by the decisions of management over the past few years, as workloads have risen while pay has remained poor. Where have I heard that before? Just literally everywhere. There. Throat was getting a bit dry. Okay. The company has recently been shedding team members as many are fed up by low salaries, long hours, and concerns around HR and upper management. Some stuff there about their Glassdoor page being pretty much all 1 stars, but lots of big corporations are like that. Team 17 warned staff that an extensive and negative article would be published. So this was when Eurogamer reached out to Team 17's upper management to get their reaction to what their employees had been saying to Eurogamer under anonymity. And basically Team 17 sent back a pretty boilerplate shitty corporate response, but they also said to Team 17 staff that they warned staff that an extensive and negative article would be published, and that this alert had, employees then told Eurogamer that this alert had been given with far more notice than that of the NFT reveal. So yeah, priorities guys. Anyway, as Eurogamer first reported last week, several teams within Team 17 had no knowledge of the company's NFT plan until just prior to its public announcement, while others who were aware for operational reasons had voiced their disapproval, only to be ignored. Staff said support for NFT collectibles had come from the very top of the company. As I said last week, that this was probably some shareholder shithead who saw the latest trend, the latest fads, making money without realizing how big a scam it is, and went, hey, let's make me more money, make my number go up. That was it, without any care for what people on the firing line would have to worry about. Anyway, team members were instructed to keep opinions of the scheme to themselves. Criticizing or embarrassing Team 17, its contractual partners, or fellow Teamsters, gross, in a public forum could be cause for disciplinary action. It's funny that their announcement of the NFT caused embarrassment for Team 17 and its contractual partners and for the fellow Teamsters, but wouldn't you know it, upper management and shareholders aren't going to see disciplinary action. I'm shocked. Truly, this is my shocked face. Anyway, when Team 17 did backtrack, it was mostly because their publishing partners were like, what the fuck are you doing? Publishing partners wanted nothing to do with NFTs in their games. Team 17 members were informed of the company's subsequent U-turn via a brief town hall meeting that felt like a political apology. If it was the people in the office who swayed them, if it had been the employees, they wouldn't have done it. One staff member who attended the meeting told Eurogamer. Instead, they did it, and they left it for a day and a half to simmer and see what would happen. It wasn't even that people might lose their jobs, or that the company was going downhill. It was that the managers were doing something so monumentally stupid without a thought for those who would actually bear the brunt of it. They didn't apologize to staff, even the community managers who were subjected to a barrage of abuse because of it. So again, upper management just, well, shit trickles down, right? That's what trickle down economics really is. It's not, it's not money that's trickling down on you. So because of this report, Eurogamer had reached out to Team 17, and again, as I said, they shared some other long-term complaints of low pay, long hours, increasing workloads. It's a schedule that has grown over recent years since the company went public in 2018. Well, there we go. Everything was fine until they went public. I wonder why that is, because fucking shareholders come in, board of directors come in, people who have absolutely no appreciation for the actual art of video games. They want money go up. That's it. They want number go up. Why number not go up? Make number go up. Something staff say has led to increased overtime and rushed releases as company bosses target quantity over quality. I'm, again, shocked face. There you go. Staff say Team 17 has signed too many games, so they have too many games to publish. They're not being given enough time to work on QA, to work out all the problems, and therefore when the game is forcibly released because they're under your publishing contract, turns out they're not particularly high quality. Overtime pay is offered for QA staff at a higher rate, and there is typically a year-end bonus. QA staff said many stayed late to work several days a week, though there was typically a cutoff around 8 p.m. to ensure team members did not work too long. However, you're going to be shocked about this one. Several staff I spoke to said they had stayed later and worked weekends for projects which needed extra attention. On one project, staff said they worked late every night of the week for months to meet a particular deadline. Meanwhile, outside of QA, staff said they worked overtime completely unpaid. This is exploitation of your workforce, exploiting people who have a passion for their job. It is not a good thing that you overwork yourself. This is where management steps in and says, you know what, we fucked up the schedule. Just go home. This is my fault. This is whoever's fault for making deadlines and schedule that are so tight and so ridiculous that you haven't a hope of meeting them within your regular working hours, the hours that you are paid for. That is a complete failure of management, not of the people making the game. But hey, who gets disciplinary action anyway? Recently, QA staff have put forward their case for pay rises, but not got anywhere. There were people who would have to skip meals to save money, people who would have to go into the office building during the pandemic to reduce their bills, people who couldn't afford new clothes, people who got an emergency bill and were in their overdraft. We took it to management, and the second time we took it to HR, nothing came of it. We were essentially told the wages you weren't paid are fine. I can confirm they are not. People are struggling badly. This sounds like fucking Walmart thing, where the US government has to subsidize Walmart employees with food stamps and shit because they're not paid well enough. Meanwhile, Mr. and Mrs. Walmart, whoever they are making 8 figures a year or something ridiculous. Eat the rich, everybody. However, last year's bonuses were abruptly slashed, some by more than £1,000 versus what staff were used to. That's like a year-end bonus that you are, really need, only to find it gone. Despite Team 17 publicly declaring record profits for the first half of 2021. What happened to those record profits? Staff who questioned the sudden reduction in their bonus were told it was a result of first-party titles that had underperformed. This is something greatly out of our control. A lot of people relied on that. Even those who put in extra hours or worked to the extremes got a substantially reduced bonus. Before then, many staff had not compared bonuses. Now, suddenly, without money they relied on for Christmas expenses, they did so and found others struggling too. It certainly caught people by surprise, one person said, saying they had initially thought they had missed an email explaining where the rest of their bonus was. Another person said they felt they had been small printed, their bonus mostly gone, and the full explanation left buried. Where's my money? Basically, I did all this work, I did my overtime, I did everything contractually required of me, and more. Where's my bonus? Meanwhile, CEO making a shit ton of money, and we'll get to her in a minute, don't you worry about it. This is another kind of anecdote, but kind of sums up how QA are treated at Team 17. So the developer came in to the QA team to sort of do a meet and greet and like see how the thing was going, but I think it was mostly like I was gonna say public relations, but it's not exactly public, internal relations thing? I don't know. Anyway, the developer was taken outside, past the QA office windows for a celebratory photo with other teams in the studio, but QA was not invited to join them. QA saw this as a snub, obviously, because it was. A producer was wheeled out for an apology. However, the grinning producer was not taking the matter seriously, and the QA staff should have known their place. Yeah. This was basically lol, I'm being forced to make this apology, but there was no way we were ever going to let you in on the photo because you're fucking QA. Meanwhile, the game quality is suffering because you don't treat your QA staff well. That's going to affect your bottom line at the end of the day. I don't understand. QA is a vital part of any software development. It is ridiculous that they're treated so poorly. One person said they had been told their team could not promote the company as they were not photogenic enough. Wow, fuck you. Meanwhile, the focus on promoting those with a Wakefield mindset, so Wakefield is where Team 17 is based, at the studio rather than hiring externally at a competitive rate has had the effect of keeping wages down. This is the problem with promoting from within. If you only ever promote from within, you will internalize any of the company's problems because you'll never get an outside perspective from it. Staff say, as well as normalizing some of the studio's practices, such as the sheer amount of work to be done. Yeah, again, so company culture never adapts to new people because there are never any new people. You're always promoting from within, or the new people are coming in on the bottom rung, so they can't really make any changes. And again, competitive salaries, because they never have to check what a competitive salary is, they can just give you a fucking token 1% or something. Anyway. Okay, so this is a quote kind of about before and after going public. So before going public, it was about finding and publishing good games. After going public, it has always felt rather tense, like you can't express an opinion or challenge anything for fear of being called negative. Where have we heard that before? Staff say they do not have faith in the company's current HR team and that it has failed to act when alerted to issues surrounding sexual harassment. We heard that before. Only every fucking Activision, Ubisoft, Riot, Sony, apparently also Microsoft, any big massive corporation that has no oversight. And the oversight board, independent oversight boards are also, have all of these problems too. Why do I do this? Why do I get myself riled up on a Sunday? I shouldn't. Anyway, Team 17's group CEO Debbie Bestwick has a personal wealth of around £200 million sterling. While many saw their bonuses cut last year, Bestwick was reported to have made $10 million. Underperforming first-party games, that's why your bonus was cut, not because she needed another ivory back scratcher. One anecdote I have heard from multiple people involves Bestwick asking staff to wrap her family's Christmas presents for her, and that this occurred over multiple years. What the fuck? It is humiliating at times, staff member, because your hand is forced, you have bugger all budget, you have too many games, and then you're sat in a meeting being asked, why the hell did this game not meet our expectations? It can be a very pointed thing, It's not unheard of for people to go out there, to go out of these meetings with the CEO, crying, which at a workplace is shameful. It's not shameful that you're crying. It is shameful that it has been forced upon you because your workplace is so toxic. On the flip side, things seem to have been easier for people closer to the bosses. Staff have mentioned a house near the Nottingham studio paid for by Bestwick, where some visiting or new staff, as well as people in management's inner circle, have been able to live rent-free. Wow. Wow, it's a tale of two cities just inside the one company there. Anyway. And so this is Bestwick, who made a Facebook post. Of course, she's on Facebook. About the Worms NFT announcement. She expressed frustration with the announcement's reaction and shock at peers who had criticized the plans. She concluded, "I dare anyone to question my ethics, to be honest." Well, after this, staff have been doing just that. These are quotes from staff members. "Debbie posts so many things about being a woman in the games industry on Twitter, and yet harassment is going on in her company, and people are being told essentially it hasn't happened. There's no way she hasn't seen people complaining about their wages, people who maybe can't afford to turn their heating on, have 3 meals a day. I've got friends who had, during the pandemic, a leak in their flat and they had to get a second job. It's the same stories which come out over and over again, and nothing. Is she truly unaware? Is no one telling her? Or does she just not care?" Which one do you think that is? So yeah, the weird NFT shitstorm that happened last week is just a symptom of a company that went public when it shouldn't have. Should have stayed small. This is the issue with growth. Growth at all costs, capitalism. Is money must always go up. Number must always go up. Number never go down. Number never just go up a little bit. Number must always go exponentially higher from last year. And if it's not, then problem. It's childish. And that's what every country is run by. There you go. Continuing with the NFT shit, but somewhat a good, maybe a good. It was not really a good thing, but like a more silver lining, I suppose. Ubisoft employees are still telling their bosses that NFTs suck. So, an announcement outlining Ubisoft's blockchain strategy on its internal message board was reportedly inundated by hundreds of negative comments, with one pointed reaction saying it was a deeply embarrassing day to work for the French video game conglomerate. So these are all basically quotes from Ubisoft's internal messaging board. These are like replies to them going, "Yay, Ubisoft are doing NFTs." And Ubisoft employees going, "Why? Please no, stop doing this. Are we competing with EA for the most hated game studio by the public?" Wrote one Ubisoft employee, "Because this is how you do it. I think the kids call this entire comment section being ratioed. You know what else makes a lot of money? Making fun, spectacular, groundbreaking blockbusters. Why don't we focus on that instead?" So yes, Ubisoft employees, at the very least, don't want anything to do with this shit. Again, another thing being forced on them by board of directors thing. This is all it is. It's coming down from the top, who have completely lost touch with what their company is meant to be doing, and they just want money go up. Somewhat better news. Independent video game platform itch.io or itch.io, whatever way you want to pronounce it. I don't think they've ever suggested what way it actually is. Have said fuck you to NFTs. Basically, they said NFTs are a scam and they want nothing to do with it, so you're never going to see them on itch.io. Good. Itch.io is no place for NFT peddling. NFTs are a scam. If you think they are legitimately useful for anything other than the exploitation of creators, financial scams, and the destruction of the planet, then we ask that you please reevaluate your life choices. Also, fuck any company that says they support creators and also endorses NFTs in any way. They only care about their own profit and the opportunity for wealth above anyone else, especially given the now easily available discourse concerning the problems of NFTs. How can you be so dense? Good. Thank you. Thank you, itch.io, that you are not going to become one of those platforms. And again, if you have never heard of Itch, go check them out. There's a lot of really interesting, definitely niche, but a lot of really interesting independent titles on that. And as we showed last week, the Bloodborne PS1 remake is on itch. You won't find it really anywhere else, as far as I know. So this is a kind of interview, so it's somewhat better news, you know, like good news. Not about NFTs. We're going to move away from NFTs. This is like a kind of interview puff piece, I suppose, on Nightdive Studios. Nightdive have kind of been at the forefront of remaking and remastering fairly old PC titles, and some of them are fairly niche, like something like Shadow Man. But you know, some better ones like Quake, Turok, and System Shock, a couple of other games. Anyway, this is a fairly lengthy interview with Nightdive. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, mostly because I don't know, I'm better at being angry at stuff than being happy about stuff. But there we go. I thought that some of these things were interesting though. But so he's talking about how he and his girlfriend, this is Stephen Kick, who's CEO of Nightdive, how he left Sony Online Entertainment and just went traveling for a while with his girlfriend. I brought a little netbook with me and I put a whole bunch of classic games on there. 6 or 7 months in the trip, when we were in Guatemala, I had this urge to play System Shock 2. I went to go boot it all up and I just couldn't get it to run. I went to GOG.com and they didn't have it, but it was one of their top requested games of all time. That led me in this rabbit hole of trying to find out what happened to the original developer Looking Glass. Where did the rights go? At the end of the night, I had an email address for the general counsel of an insurance company in the Midwest, America, I imagine, well, United States rather, who wrote back to me almost immediately. So it's kind of a long way of saying that older video games, if you don't care for them, right, and do preservation, like art preservation is extremely important for human culture in general, not just one country's, like the entirety of human culture, of our civilization is in our art. And if we don't actually preserve it, you're gonna lose a lot of it. Like System Shock 2 is responsible for a lot of what you see in like immersive sims, but a lot of first-person shooters, a lot of first-person games in general would have taken their cues from System Shock 2. It is extremely important for that particular genre of video games and video games in general. And the fact that it was unplayable, and there are so many games that are like this that are just unplayable now. There's no way to play them. You wouldn't have something like that from a film, from a book, from a piece of music, from maybe a TV show. But even then, you still probably find a way to do it. How many, it's just not treated the same way. Like video games are absolutely not treated the same way as an art form. They are very much, we made our money, so who cares now? Like closing down servers and that kind of thing. How are any kind of the bigger MMOs or any game that's like entirely online, how are you going to go back and enjoy them again 20 years from now? Because the servers are not going to still be up. It's that kind of thing. It's platforms that aren't there anymore. Like any PS3, we'll say, exclusive is pretty much unplayable now because PS3 is no longer manufactured. All PS3s will eventually fail. Like you won't be able to play them anymore. CDs also fail. They have a half-life. They decay over time. So who is preserving them? You know, this is why getting those games onto PC is important, because PC is kind of a living platform. It's not just one monolithic thing. There's lots of different ways to run a PC game. Whereas there's only one way to run a PS3 game, and it's have a PS3 or an emulator, I guess. But even then, an emulator isn't perfect. It's not the way the game would have been on the PS3. You know, some things have to be changed to make it work. All I'm saying is game preservation needs to do a much better job, and Nightdive are one of the few studios who actually care about that kind of thing. Anyway, speaking of video game companies who don't appreciate video games as an art form, Sony are censoring Martha is Dead. Only Sony, not Microsoft, not PC platform, Steam, I guess, or Epic, or whoever. It's just PlayStation. So, Martha is Dead will require certain elements to be altered ahead of its release on PlayStation. PC and Xbox versions remain unaffected, so this is definitely coming from Sony, Jim Ryan specifically, because this shit didn't happen until he took over. This is why I don't like him. Anyway, what they're censoring and the reasons for it are currently unknown. Great, so we won't know until you've actually bought it. Anyway, both Wired Productions and LKA have always been open and honest about Martha is Dead content, with the sensitive depictions in play consistently communicated to the media since the game was announced in 2019. The content is also flagged clearly and repeatedly within the game itself before play begins. It is with regret that we have had to modify the experience on the PS5 and PS4 versions, with some elements no longer playable. Great. We're actually removing playable things now. We're not just covering up cleavage anymore. Now we're taking entire playable sections out of the game because Jim Ryan is a prude, or thinks only children play video games or something. I don't know. Again, currently unknown. We don't know what they're removing. Anyway, after over 4 years of passion and hard work, developer LKA now requires extra time to make these unplanned changes. Great. Pushing back fucking development, having them to do more work, costing them more money. Are Sony going to pay for it? No, of course not. Anyway, it's not going to affect the digital release because they can get a patch together reasonably quickly, but it will have to delay the disc release because they'll have to reprint the disc, basically. Or not, sorry, they won't have to I doubt they've printed the discs yet, but they'll obviously have to wait to make sure that that is ready and stable and so on before they start printing the discs. So that is probably the issue. But yeah, game preservation also means not censoring shit for no reason. And Sony are very bad about that, and it is making me reconsider getting the game on PlayStation, which I'm sure is not what they wanted, but that's what's happening. Anyway, so some news about the PSVR 2, and probably not particularly great news. So Sony is still negotiating PSVR 2 tech. Eye tracking firm claims. I thought I was going to say eye tracking firm confirms, and I was like, did you really go with that word? Anyway, they didn't. So Tobii AB, which calls itself the global leader in eye tracking and pioneer of attention computing. The fuck is attention computing? I don't think I want to know. Currently in negotiation with Sony Interactive Entertainment to be the eye-tracking technology provider in Sony's new VR headset. So basically, here's the issue. Sony has yet to comment on an official release date for the PSVR 2 headset. However, if the company has yet to formally decide some of the components that will make up the machine, it could suggest it may be some time before it enters full production. So, unlikely we're seeing it this year, basically. It's not exactly surprising because we haven't even seen the hardware, we haven't seen like a physical mock-up even of what it's going to look like. So as much as I kind of wanted them to have one out this year, it's not surprising that it's not, because we just haven't seen like actual visuals for it, but this kind of just confirms it. Like it's not an actual confirmation, so maybe it doesn't confirm it, but it goes towards suggesting that it's probably not out this year, just because they haven't actually finalized what's going into the machine. Never mind how the machine's going to look, I think. But yeah, not great news. And then this is just a kind of small addition to a news story that I looked at last week. Never mind, I'm not going to lump you guys into that. It's me being a parasite on other people's good work. Anyway, Jade Raymond Studio making a persistent and evolving online title for PlayStation. So Jade Raymond, formerly of Ubisoft and formerly of EA and formerly of Google Stadia and a bunch of other places, probably best known for Assassin's Creed, is making a persistent and evolving online game for the PlayStation platform. So I'm basically just throwing this out because it is something that Jim Ryan, again, said in a news story last week, that Sony are planning, this was when they bought Bungie, that Sony are planning on doing 10 live services games by 2026. And that was the main reason why they purchased Bungie. It wasn't necessarily to get Destiny, it was to get Bungie's expertise. Fucking hell, have you played Destiny lately? Expertise on multiplayer or massively multiplayer online games, live services games, whatever way you want to put it. This is another game, basically, it's one of the 10. So whatever Bungie's new IP is one. Deviation Games, guys who are formerly of like Call of Duty, a bunch of other shooters, are also doing a live service game, so that's 2. Sony are doing something with London Studio, their newer London Studio, which is probably number 3, and then Haven Studio, Jade Raymond's one, is probably number 4. So yes, as this article points out, Naughty Dog have also been rumored to be doing some kind of multiplayer Last of Us thing, which is what, remember when I suggested what PlayStation IP would make a good live service game? I was honestly struggling to think of one, and Last of Us was the only one I could think of, and it sounds boring as fuck, but there you go. There's a rumor Twisted Metal one that may also be a live service. Sure, skins and race modes and something else, I suppose. And yeah, something with Sony's London studio. We don't know what they're doing at all. Anyway, so we're gonna finish off with some dumb stuff. So Carby, which is Kirby when he tries to eat a car and it doesn't work, so he ends up stuck in car mode, I guess. As you might imagine, the internet was having some fun with it. So here's some memes. Fans, Breath of the Wild 2, please. Mario Kart 9, please. Mario movie trailer, please. Nintendo, no. Carby. Is Carby thinking maybe I don't eat the car? I think it might be gross. Maybe I just drive the car, and so on. And yes, Carby in Mario Kart 9. Carby taking over, and Ava. Optimus Prime Carby, yes, the weird meme with the two guys on the sides. Kirby has the ultimate weapon, and so on. There are quite a few of these. I did see one. Yes, he's the VLC media player thing. There was one. I was looking to try to replace the VLC icon with that. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I will figure it out. And then, of course, having Carby in Mario Kart 9 as just a mock-up, or as Mario Kart 8 rather, is just a mock-up. That's not good enough. We gotta actually put him in Mario Kart 8. So, of course, someone has modded Mario Kart 8 to have Carby in it, because, of course, they have. And then a kind of interesting little, just an interesting kind of Twitter exchange that happened over last weekend. Someone who was part of the development team for the BioShock Infinite DLC was trying to explain what Bread Boy is all about. So if you're not familiar, Bread Boy is a character in the BioShock DLC when the player gets sent to France or Paris at some point. And as a kind of joke, it was going around like they really want you to know that you're in France, and they're like, here's a bunch of guys painting, and here's like Edith Piaf playing, and here's a guy just really happy about baguettes. And that was kind of it. It was like, this is a little on the nose, but okay, we'll move on. But one of the developers chimed in and was like, okay, yes, hilarious, but here's the reason why we have a boy dancing around with a baguette. It wasn't what you think necessarily. It's pretty funny. The reason they have it there is that they wanted, so this person's job was to basically fill up the scene with just random NPCs, and they felt that the scene just wasn't, it was missing something. It just wasn't very dynamic. They just wanted a bit more movement, but they didn't have the time or the budget or something to put in like a character with an AI, so an AI to like do pathfinding and stuff, so they wouldn't walk into the player and not walk into scenery and that kind of thing. So instead they wanted to reuse some kind of animation, and they felt that somebody running around the central pillar might be interesting to do something like that. But when they put it in, they were like, that's kind of weird. Why would somebody just run around the pillar? So okay, what else can we do? Maybe we get some kids maybe chasing each other or something. It still doesn't quite look right, and also we don't really have the animation for children, for the child model to do that. So they said, okay, what else can we do? What other animations can we reuse? So they reuse, there's a scene in BioShock Infinite where Elizabeth is caught up in a dancing circle, and there's a scene where Elizabeth and one of the other NPCs dance around in a circle together. That's what they use. But the thing is, they wanted it to be like the kids doing it. The problem is that animation doesn't really work for the children, and what ended up happening is like their hands were going off into weird directions. They were clipping down into the ground because it wasn't lining up properly. You can do some like inverse kinematic things to make sure that the hands actually match each other, but the issue then is that the hands always end up way up in the air. It's just the way the IK formula works, is that it will find the shortest path, and the shortest path is for some reason up in the air rather than down at their waist, but whatever. Anyway, they couldn't get that to work, so what they did instead was they deleted one of the characters. So they kept the animation but just got rid of one of the characters. So now the boy is just dancing around in a circle with his hands in the air, and she just said, "Okay, it looks weird. Let's give him something." And they just gave him a baguette, and that's it. That's why you have Bread Boy. It is they wanted something in the scene and they wanted dancing, but they couldn't make it work with the kids, so they said, "Fuck it, he's dancing with a baguette." And that was the end of it, and they moved on. They thought it would be this is like a 5-second thing that you don't even really have to interact with in the game, and they just left it and turned into a stupid meme, and there you go. Anyway, we'll leave Sifu to play in the background. It's release date, or it's release week, or whatever. Anyway, so that was the news for the 7th to 13th of February 2022. Nintendo Direct was interesting. Again, if you want to see the full thing, video is up on my 2 channels, Twitch and YouTube, if you want to check it out. Otherwise, don't. It's entirely your business. That's what I want to say. Some new releases. Sifu is fun, but kind of difficult. Lost Ark, I'm debating whether or not I'm going to play it because it's Amazon, but also it's free. So I wouldn't be giving them money. Don't know. GetsuFumaDen, again, I'll be checking that out on Wednesday, assuming I remember to download it, which I should, hopefully. We'll check that out on Wednesday. Wolf Among Us 2, cool. Hopefully it's not going to be a episodic thing. I do hope that they release it all in one go. Probably not, but I hope they do. Yeah, the Team 17 report is, you know, not great. It's depressing and so on, but it's not exactly shocking. Despite me having my shocked face on for the whole report, I can't say I was particularly surprised. Companies don't need to go public. They don't need to. Not required. It's only there because money. I want more money. Money go up. Money number not big enough. Must be bigger. Don't care what I have to do to make it bigger, etc. Not great. And then some other shit happened. I don't know. I forget what the rest. I was only reading the news like 10 minutes ago. I still already forgot. Anyway, whatever. You can just rewatch it. Coming up on the channel Monday, we'll be streaming Chorus, which is a space dogfighting thing. Very Valentine's Day, I suppose. Anyway, Wednesday, as I said, GetsuFumaDen, Undying Moon. We'll be looking at that. Saturday, don't know yet. I know Horizon is out, but I haven't played the original, so I don't want to play the sequel until I play the original. So I won't be doing Horizon, but I still need to think of something to play. And I also would like some kind of long-running game that I can play, so I'm not always variety. I do want something that I can play regularly when I don't have something. When I don't have a new game to play, there's something else I can play instead. So I still feel worried about that. I mean, I've been thinking Elden Ring when it comes out, but also I don't want to be super stressed when I'm streaming. I don't know. Probably not. It probably won't be Elden Ring. Games of July, again, I've been mentioning it a few times now, but yes, script is done. Commentary recording is done. I've edited a couple of the games, so I basically just need to stitch them together, edit a few more of those games, stitch the whole thing together, render it out, and upload. So, yeah, probably by this time next week, it'll be out. And then I get to move on to August, and September, and October, and God, I'm really thinking of just doing a quick... Here's all the games. Just here's a video for the rest of that year, so I can fucking catch up, but my brain won't let me do that. Also, Alan Wake, yep, I saw it there. I can see it on my OBS right there. Yep, I completely forgot about it. Completely forgot about that game. Yeah, but I still have to do some Alan Wake stuff, so yeah. I think I'll get the July video done and then maybe finish out Alan Wake and then look into the August video. Anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe. Anyway, hopefully see you some stage next week. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.